This video is made possible by G2A, great games for cheap prices. Use the affiliate link g2a.com/r/filmempire to support the show. Hello everybody and welcome back with the very first episode of the quarterly Film Empire podcast, in which I will talk about topics related to filmmaking, visual effects, YouTube and hit film with a guest. Today's guest, and the very first one in fact, is Jay Haynes, also known as Hit Film Sensei. So thank you so much for joining me today in the very first episode. Now I'm pretty sure that most of my viewers know who you are, but for those who don't, can you tell us a bit about yourself, a bit about your YouTube channel?
Well, you bet. My name is Jay Haynes, and I am more commonly known as Hit Film Sensei on the forums as well as in YouTube, and I appreciate you having me today. I am a professional karate instructor in the United States. I have been doing that for over 35 years. And recently, over the past couple of years, I have been teaching YouTube hit film tutorials to everybody who is interested in learning more about how to use that software.
Yeah, I think that is a great introduction there, so I think we can jump right in with some questions, a little bit of a discussion. Now today or yesterday you actually passed 4,000 subscribers. Currently at the date that we're recording, you're at 4,022 subscribers. And how does it feel to be such an influential hit film YouTuber, or like a cornerstone of the hit film community?
Well, I tell you what, it's pretty exciting, really. I mean, I started the channel in May of 2016, and it wasn't really with the idea of becoming anything huge by any means. And so, a couple of months went by, and by the time July rolled around, I had all of 5 subscribers, and I was still making my weekly video, just doing it for fun, basically. And then in July of 2016, I got a shout out unexpectedly. I didn't ask for it. I didn't even know it was going to happen, but a little YouTube channel called Hit Film Quick Tips did a video talking about some of the best places to go if you want to learn more about hit film, and lo and behold, he highlighted my channel, and boom, all of a sudden I had 30 subscribers. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe it.
That's great, yeah.
And so I kept going from there, and by October I had 100 subscribers, and then March of 2017 I ended up with 1,000. I passed that 1,000 mark, and then in May I got a shout out from Hit Film themselves, from their YouTube channel, and then in last September I got one from Shiny Films, and it's amazing. I never really thought I would ever get to the point where I had 4,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate everybody who tunes in and watches my videos. I think it's wonderful, and I'm just going to keep doing it until I can't anymore.
Well, I think that's one of the great things of the hit film community. I think a lot of people know each other, and everyone's really nice to each other, and like shout outs and sort of cross-pollination of YouTube channels. So everybody learns new channels, sees new stuff that they're interested in. So I think that's definitely something great. Now
Oh, I agree, and I think that's all due to the hit film. The actual staff of the hit film company,
definitely.
FX Home, they've done a magnificent job of, creating a really collaborative environment where everybody, feels like they can contribute something, and people aren't afraid to go in and ask questions and provide feedback and that sort of thing. I mean, you got a few trolls that are running around out there, but the vast majority of people who are in the community are really doing a nice job of cross-promoting and talking about each other, and it's a very collaborative sort of an environment with guys like Mike Miller and Greg over at Gray Motion and Spider Hank and those guys. They're all really, really good people, and they are really super intelligent when it comes to the software, and that's really cool. So
yeah, indeed, it's like a very collaborative environment. People are not afraid to ask any questions, and I think that's a very good thing. And I feel that this is one of the few communities on YouTube that have this attitude, this sort of, everybody's very friendly towards each other, very helpful. So I think that's a great thing.
I agree. I think, and again, props to the staff of Hit Film for
definitely.
creating that environment. They really have done a nice job.
Exactly. Now, to continue on the YouTube topic, what was your inspiration to start a YouTube channel? So you said May 2016 you started?
That's right, May of 2016. And you know what? The original idea was that somebody posted on the forum, man, I just don't understand how to do text. It's so hard. And I just thought to myself, it's not that hard, And so I said, I'm just going to make a real quick video on how to do text. And that was my very first video. And then I said, I could probably just do a real fast video every week that's really geared towards beginners. And so my channel started off as tutorials under 4 minutes that were for beginners only. And I did that for the first 6 months. And then I said, I guess I could do some more advanced tutorials too, and maybe even do them in, about the pro version as well, because I'd done everything in, or almost everything in Express. And so now I've sort of expanded the channel beyond that. But originally it was just, hey, beginners need help learning basic things, and, maybe I ought to just throw a few videos out there helping them out. So.
Oh, that's great. And you said indeed your channel's expanded now. That's true. You now have videos on Monday and Friday on both Pro and the Express version of Hit Film every week. Does that introduce much stress to you, or is actually everything working out fine?
Actually,
on your end?
It is not easy to do 2 videos a week. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. But I was prepared to do what it took to make that happen, and so I said I will commit to making this happen. And there's been a couple times where I thought, man, maybe I ought to go back to 1 video a week. But now I'm in a groove now, and I feel pretty good about it. And it's not easy, but it's been a whole lot of fun. And so I'm just gonna keep moving forward with that until I decide to change the format again. But it'll only be a format change that improves the channel, not goes backwards.
Yeah, because this is for both of us, it's a hobby, a side project to produce these videos. So it shouldn't overrule your daily schedule. So when you are in that groove, in that sort of system of creating content, then you're in a really good place where you can just keep producing good content and tutorials. So I think that's great that you found your position there where you can produce 2 videos a week, and whenever you of course feel that that's not sustainable anymore, then you should of course feel free towards your audience and change it so that it's also good for you, because it's a hobby and it should remain something that's fun for you to do. And I think that your audience would also be agreeing with you on that point. So yeah, that's great that you figured everything out.
Yeah, and I've been self-employed and owned businesses since 1990, and when you are self-employed, you absolutely have to know how to manage your time well. And if you don't know how to do that, you're not going to be employed very long. And so as a result, I have specific times. I block in my schedule. I say these are the 2 hours I'm going to devote right now to this, and then I have to move on. And so you don't mess around, when you know that you have to get it done by this time. And as a result, you stay on task, you stay on schedule, you stay focused, and that's really the key to a lot of success in life, is having that self-discipline to be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you mentioned that planning out when you will assign your time to what. Yeah, I have exactly the same. I just have this Google spreadsheet that I can open on every location I am with my ideas of what I need to do, my planning ideas, everything, the date that it will be uploaded. So indeed, planning is key on that. On anything basically. If you plan well enough, I think that's a big part of your success.
Absolutely. I'm an old school guy. I write everything down. I have an at-a-glance calendar that I use, and I've never done it electronically. I have every at-a-glance calendar I've ever owned since 1985, and I could tell you exactly where I was any given day of my whole life.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I really like having that online document because I can access it everywhere, and I tend to swap some ideas around. If we're like, okay, I want this tutorial over here, but wait, I don't actually have the time to put into that episode, so then I'll switch it around with something a bit easier, so I can actually devote my time to that more time-intensive video to create something that's really good.
Yeah, and it's important to build in flexibility into your schedule. So
Yes.
everything I write is in pencil, and that way I can
Ah.
change it around if I need to.
That is a great solution to that problem. Okay, now let's continue to a bit more topical news. YouTube decided to pull its advertisements from YouTubers under 4,000 hours of watch time in a year and under 1,000 subscribers. Now, have you been hit with that, or do you even have advertisements on your videos?
Actually, I have not been hit with that, but that's because I'm already over the 1,000 subscriber mark, and I can appreciate, especially small YouTuber, channels, how frustrated they'd be because, you go into it under one set of rules, and then Google owns YouTube. Google decides to just change all the rules on everybody, and
Yeah, well,
it's very frustrating. I'm sure, I can tell you, but it is their company, it's their channel, their platform, and they basically do whatever they feel like doing, and that's that's it. So
Yeah.
The good
That's
news
very-
is most people who are under there aren't really, they don't, at that point, they're not really caring about how much money they're making. It wasn't that much money probably to begin with. It certainly wasn't for me, maybe it's just better incentive to get to that 1,000 mark. If you work harder, knowing that you're not going to make a single dime until you do, all of a sudden people will find a way to make it happen. They'll move those mountains. So.
Yeah, very true. I've seen different videos of different people at different standpoints, and one thing that I think should be the case is instead of changing the requirements for the people that are already enrolled in the YouTube partner program, maybe change these requirements for new people that want to join in instead of take it away from people that do not meet the requirements now, because I remember that somewhere previous year they changed it so that you should have 10,000 lifetime views on your channel before you could enroll in that program. So I feel it's like a bit abrupt to change it for the people that are already enrolled in that program. And there are some people that have not met the $100 threshold for their AdSense, and they have been working towards that, but now that YouTube decides to pull the advertisements, they can't actually get that amount that they already built up. They can't get that paid out. So I think that's many small creators, I think they feel that's like a sort of middle finger from Google towards them. Although it's not really focused towards them, but it's really focused on those YouTube channels that take other people's content and repost that. But there's also some smaller channels that really put a lot of time and effort into their videos, like small animators, and they are just they can throw the money that they earn, they can throw it away basically.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe a grandfather clause is not a bad idea. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. Maybe you should work for Google and let them know that.
Well, there's a lot of people that have already put this out towards YouTube, towards the internet, and maybe Google will listen to them. Maybe they will change it. I am eager to hear what their response on that issue will be. Now let's go to your channel, because anyone who's ever been on your channel knows that you're a huge Star Wars fan. For example, you have a 21-part series on how to create a lightsaber duel. Currently, you are working with rigging 3D models and all that kind of stuff, also on Star Wars. How come that you like the Star Wars franchise so much?
Well, I'm old enough that when the original Star Wars came out in the theaters in 1977, I was the guy standing in line waiting, for that movie. And it's hard to explain to people who weren't there and didn't go through it what it was like. But imagine if you went down to the theater and there was a line that wrapped 3 times around the theater building. That's what happened. It was a phenomenon that nobody had ever seen before, nobody had ever heard of before. And it was such an amazing movie. It was almost like a life-changing experience for a lot of people. And that ever since then, I've been a huge Star Wars fan, and I love all the Star Wars movies, even the prequels. I love the prequels. There has not been a bad Star Wars movie as far as I'm concerned. Now, some of them I love more than others, but even the worst Star Wars movie is still a better movie than the vast majority of movies that you'll get a chance to watch. So, I was born, at the age of 9 years old. I saw the first movie and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable!" And I didn't even know they could do this kind of a thing, And so ever since, I've been a lifetime fan.
And I think it's also really fascinating now that you can see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff of the original Star Wars movies, where you saw the AT-AT or AT-AT, that depends on how you want to pronounce it, but you could see them rigging the physical 3D models, and they had tiny explosions, but just due to that incredible model work and camera work, that was they created something that people had never seen or never even thought was possible. So they created this new world, basically. And I think that's something that's really cool from the Star Wars franchise.
Absolutely. And that was all practical effects back in the day.
Yes.
And those effects are still being used today, and they have stood the test of time. A lot of times you look at some of the old stop motion animations and you go, "Oh, this isn't very good," but these were amazing, and they still are amazing today. You see Luke Skywalker riding on a tauntaun in Empire Strikes Back, and that's a real animal right there, but it isn't. It's just stop motion. It was just done so very, very well by the staff there at Lucasfilm. So
yeah, that's definitely very true. So now comes the question: if you could make a movie in the Star Wars franchise, you either continuing the series, maybe a spin-off, what would it be about? Would it be a continuation, or?
I probably would want to direct Jar Jar's Great Adventure. I think that's probably... No, I'm just kidding. I have this running joke with Uwais over there at Red Alert. I have him totally convinced that I feel Jar Jar Binks is the greatest Star Wars character. In fact, the greatest character ever in the history of film, right?
Oh, that's
and
hilarious.
He's totally convinced, and everybody else kind of realizes I'm joking, especially the older crowd around, like Mike Miller and those guys are laughing. But he hasn't figured out that I'm joking around, and I think it's great. No. But I would love to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi backstory, or a story maybe about Obi-Wan Kenobi in between episodes, 3 and episode 4, and I'm hoping that will come to fruition. It certainly is seeming like it will. They keep talking about it. You keep seeing these rumors flying around. Ewan McGregor wants to do it. That to me would be a really great story. So that's what I would look forward to more probably than anything.
Okay, so now there will be a little ad break, and then we'll be back with Hitfilm Sensei in this podcast. This episode of the Film Empire podcast is made possible by G2A.com. Games are nice to play, but they can be really expensive. G2A is the solution for your problem. Buy keys for popular games easily and cheap. Take, for example, Need for Speed Payback. The PlayStation Store lists it for $70, but on G2A I can get it for $31. Be sure to use the affiliate link g2a.com/r/filmempire to support this show. Let's get a bit more into the YouTube stuff. So, why do you make the videos that you make? Because I think it must take a lot of time and effort to create an episode, especially now twice a week, because some of your episodes are pretty long or very effects heavy, especially the 3D rigging tutorials you're doing now. Why do you make these videos that you make?
I have to say that, again, like I said earlier, I started the channel, with the idea of making short beginner videos, and those were real easy to make. But then Now I've sort of expanded the channel. I haven't shifted. I haven't moved over to only working with more advanced users, but I've expanded into that realm also working with more advanced users. And those take a lot more time. And I didn't realize how much more time they were going to take when I did it. That's why I said earlier that I didn't realize, how much harder it was going to be to shift over to the pro tutorials. But they are a lot more fun to do. There's no doubt about that. And it's sort of like when you teach martial arts, you love teaching beginners. They're great. They're enthusiastic. They're excited, and they want to learn. But it's so much fun to work with the advanced students, and it's the same thing. So, because of that, the idea is, that I have to block in more time and definitely, plan it out a little bit better. But there's so many things that you can do with hit film, and with, in general, that it's wide open. And I've had people ask me, are you afraid you're going to run out of ideas? I'm like, no. I see new ideas all the time, and I go, no, I bet I could do that. And my wife will look at me and go, can you do that? In hit film, yeah, I probably can actually. Prove it. The next thing you know, I'm showing her my result after playing with it for half an hour, kind of thing. So it's just that's to me that's the most fun part is deciding what I want to do next, and then figuring out how to make it happen.
Yeah, that's great, but also with the more advanced tutorials, of course, the effect itself is more difficult, but the video will be longer as well. So I think instead of the time maybe doubles if the video gets maybe half as long or anything. So if you have a 10-minute video, maybe a 15-minute video would take twice the time to complete because you have more of the footage, you have more editing to do and all of that stuff. So I feel that's not like linear, but more of a curve of your time.
That is absolutely true. It's a geometric curve, So if you're creating a 5-minute video, it's real fast. If you're creating a 10-minute video, it's more than twice the time. And a 15-minute video is twice that, So you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I always that's also what I feel on my side. So as I said in the very beginning, you just passed 4,000 subscribers, and how important do you think it is to have a community on YouTube or on the HitFilm forum?
I think that ultimately every YouTube content creator is working in collaboration with people around them, and so it's vital. It's the same in the martial arts. You can't teach karate on an island and not ever go out and learn. And so, I'm out there constantly training and learning new things all the time that I can bring back to my students. And it's the same thing, and so I will work on a video and I'll get stuck on something. I just can't figure it out. So I'll go ask Mike Miller or, Greg or some of those guys, Tony C., and they will be delighted to help me get over the hump and figure out what I'm doing wrong. And, why is this not looking the way I want it? And, they've been invaluable to me, and if it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't be able to do half the things that I've done, and it becomes a learning process for me too, and it's really, really nice. So that community is vital, and like you said earlier, the hit film community is really a nice community. They're friendly, exactly. They're willing to jump in and help, and they're just so collaborative. It's a rare thing to see that. So, and again, that's props to the staff there at HitFilm. They have created that environment that's really something impressive.
Yeah, exactly. And the HitFilm forums, they're actually very, very heavily manned. You have a lot of staff on there, a lot of very experienced users. I feel that with the Adobe forums, most of the times there's like no one left on those forums. But the HitFilm forums, they're always full of people, full with new ideas, very experienced people that are very willing to help the new people, the more advanced people. So I think indeed that's very important to have this community.
I agree. In the martial arts, we talk about the idea that we're all on the same learning path. It's just some people are further down the path than others. And so the word sensei actually does not translate to be a teacher. It actually translates to be one who has walked the path before. And so people who are further down the path sort of have an obligation to help those people who haven't traveled as far down their path to travel down their path in whatever they choose in their life. So
That's great. I think that's very motivational. So now, before the end, I asked you what you would want to do in the Star Wars franchise, but now for your YouTube channel, what would you like to create? Like a short film, a feature film, a series, and what would it be about?
actually, that's a good question. I'm currently working on sort of a little bit of a rebrand so that I can expand my channel in terms of doing other things like teaching Blender, which is another
that's great.
software that I am pretty good at using.
Yeah, I use it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Blender. I've been using it since it first came out. Originally
That's
way
great.
back in the 90s, and
Yeah.
it is really a remarkable piece of software. But I
is.
haven't done any real tutorials on it, and I'd like to. But my channel is Hit Film Sensei, and so I focus on Hit Film. But the reality is that Hit Film is just one tool in your toolbox, and it's a great tool. It's like a crescent wrench, But at some point,
Yeah.
you say, well, maybe I ought to show people how to use the hammer, or how to use the screwdriver,
Yeah.
And so there are other tools that are out there, and so my goal is to expand the channel to a point where I'm teaching other things like, Blender and maybe Audacity and other tools that filmmakers could use. In the meantime, I have enjoyed making the little short films that I have made. And most of them are more like sketch films, But
Yep.
I've actually been making short films since the 90s. And some of them are actually up on YouTube. I made a really cute little lightsaber video back in 2002 to the Devil Went Down to Georgia song. And I can send you the link to it if you want to see it. It was done in Corel Lumiere, actually, which is a way old software that predates Pinnacle Studio.
Yeah.
And Pinnacle Studio bought out Corel, and they took that software and made it into Pinnacle Studio. So it was a long, long time ago. And I used literally, Photoshop to do each frame, the lightsabers. And
wow.
it's a 3-minute song, and it would take me, 40 minutes to do 15 frames of the lightsabers per lightsaber. And there were some, shots that had 4 lightsabers going in this, and it was at a really low quality. It was 320 by 240. Back then that was the best we could do in 2002 on our, on our limited PCs, and I really enjoy doing the short films, but I haven't been able to do them a lot recently. But that's going to change. That's one of the big things I want to expand into doing. Plus, I want to do some more DIY stuff and that sort of thing. So I do have a lot of plans for the channel as I continue to block in more time for me to do these kinds of things.
Yeah, that's very great. I believe it's end of 2016 when I changed the orientation of my channel towards filmmaking, and I was very hesitant of actually only focusing towards hit film because I feel that I'm blocking off any other choices. So that's why it's Film Empire. I can talk about scripting. I've done videos about scripting, about filming, about hit film, of course. That's a big part, but I don't want to block myself from creating other content. If I want to create stuff in Blender, I think that I should be able to do that. So I think that, yeah, you should, if you feel that that's what you want to do, you should definitely take that step, because you're way more free in the content that you can create then.
Right. And then, by the way, I think that you've done a great job of rebranding your channel. I think it's wonderful, and I think you're right on your path the way that you should be, and you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I feel that I'm in a good position now. I have a great audience. I have lots of ideas that I'm working on. I have a new idea for a short film. I have the story. I have the storyline complete. So that will be scripting, and maybe halfway this year that will be out.
Well, I think that you're really going places, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for you.
Well, thank you very much. The same goes for you. And then we've come to the last question, which I think would be a question I will ask every guest that will be on the podcast. And that is, what is some advice for aspiring YouTubers / filmmakers / hit film users?
The biggest thing that I would suggest for people is consistency. You know, I think that probably most people who try their hand at YouTube and fail, it's because they jumped in with both feet. They were all excited. Oh, I'm going to make these YouTube. I'm going to be a big YouTube guy. I'm going to make all these things, and I'm going to do, 5 videos a week, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And they push on for a couple of weeks or a month or 2 months, and then they go, oh, man, and then they stop. And then
you just burn out.
Yeah, they burn out, and then they go a few weeks, and then they do another video. Oh, I was gone, but I'm back now, and then you don't see the video for another 2 weeks, and then there's maybe a quick update, and then 2 months later, now they haven't done a single video, and that YouTube doesn't like that, Google doesn't like that,
Yep.
And that does not get rewarded. So my suggestion is, be consistent, but temper yourself. Say, okay, I'm going to commit to making 1 video a week, and you might make 3 or 4 videos this week because you were all excited. Save those videos. And now you got a month's worth of backlog. So that way, if you do kind of get burned out a little bit, you can go 3 weeks and not have to make a video, and you still are putting something out every week. When I recently moved to Virginia here in the United States from Colorado. And I front-loaded a bunch of videos. I front-loaded a month's worth of videos in advance in anticipation of moving. And I didn't do a thing with the channel for a month. And nobody noticed because I was consistently putting a video out every week. And I was glad at that time that I was only doing 1 video a week because it wasn't that hard. But I literally had over a month's worth of content, and I had some more in backup. I mean, I could have gone 3 months. Because I put together a bunch of small videos just in case. And I ended up not using them. But I sat down on a Friday and I banged out like 6 videos, in one day. All day. I spent nothing but the whole day doing videos, and I made 6 videos just in case. So I really could have gone a lot longer. And as it turns out, I didn't need it. But I was glad I had it there because I felt good that I would be able to just real quickly upload a video and call it good for this week, kind of thing, if I had to do it. But the consistency was what mattered. And that would be my suggestion is continually do something and always provide new content at least once a week. But if not once a week, once every 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Just consistency in general. Yeah. The YouTube algorithm really likes consistent uploads.
Yep, I agree, and that's where I think it's if you do that, then all the YouTube numbers and the subscribers and the views and all that stuff, those will kind of take care of themselves, and you don't sweat or worry about those things. Instead of worrying about the outcome, you just take care of the details. You take care of what your responsibility is and let the outcome be what it is.
Yeah, I definitely completely agree with you on that point. Consistency is key. I haven't missed a single Saturday previous year, so I'm very happy with that. That's been the first year that I've ever done consistent uploads, and I feel that that's really nice because that shows that, okay, I've got something that works, and in between, when I feel like maybe not, maybe once a week or twice a week, I do a live stream, and I feel that works out really nicely. So consistency is key. Maybe adding in some different things is also great, and indeed front loading what you said. I also went on holiday for 3 weeks to Sweden, and that was exactly in the time I also did my Hit Film Wednesdays series, so that would be 2 videos a week. So I had 11 videos. I had 11 videos set up. I had to create those in a week. So 1 week, 11 videos, and I actually think that those were one of my best videos I've created this year. So consistency, maybe a little pressure is not too bad, and can give you a little bit of drive, a little bit of motivation. So yeah, I definitely agree with you.
I agree, and I'm impressed that you have been able to stick it out like you have, and that has been, you know, I, for me personally, I look at you and I say, "Wow, man, this guy's really going places. He's young, he's got his whole life ahead of him, and he's obviously motivated and he's dedicated, and that's, most people aren't, and so you're already way ahead of the game, as relative to anybody else that's your age."
And I definitely feel it's just sometimes I think like, yeah, I don't want to make a video now, but just keeping that motivation of, okay, I'm going to put out a video on that date. If you just stick to that, I think the motivation also comes, it should come from yourself. So it's also great that I now have an audience and I can say to myself, okay, but people, they are waiting for a video, so I will create a video. And that's also a little bit of intrinsic motivation there.
Absolutely, I totally agree. But I'm really impressed with your dedication to your channel. You've done a great job, and it will definitely show down the road.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I feel the exact same way towards your channel. So that was the first Film Empire podcast of this year. I want to thank Hitfilm Sensei so much for taking his time to join me here today. Thank you, Jay. It was great. Be sure to check him out and to subscribe to him using the link in the description and the top comment under this YouTube video. Also, subscribe to Film Empire and click the little bell icon to get notified when a new video or podcast comes out. See you next time with a new video. Bye-bye.